Before we get started today, I just wanted to let everyone know that we've got some great How We Made Your Mother merch, and that 10% of the profits will go to our permanent fundraising campaign to support congenital heart disease research. You can get some t-shirts and hoodies and learn more about our fundraising on our website. And also, kids, let me tell you about the incredible story of how we met our friends at Amplifier, who are partnering with us to get this How We Made Your Mother merch to you while raising money for congenital heart disease research along the way. Yes, Amplifier is helping us to do something good by offering HIMYM fans something great. So if you're a business with big orders to fulfill, Amplifier is there to help growing consumer brands and influencers create a unique experience for their customers during that fulfillment process. The link to their site is in our show notes, and if you name drop How We Made Your Mother, you'll get a special pricing for your emerging brands program. By the way, if you just want to donate directly to the research, we would be deeply grateful, and the links to everything are on our website. On with the show.
Hey guys, my name's Miles. I'm from Newton, Massachusetts. I'm 27, and I have a lot to say, but I, like many other people, began watching the show when I was in middle school or high school, and particularly through Ted's character, but the whole show in general means a profound deal to me, as I have battled in the past and continue to battle with the complexities of love and growing up. And I very much identify with Ted in his sort of naive, childlike, wondrous, but also, I think, quite hopeful and passionate and resilient approach to romantic love and friendship love and family love and all of these things. So thank you for making sure I keep believing in those things. I do want to say, though, that the show, above all, is so great because it is so true to sincerity. And we live in a hyper-ironic world right now where nobody wants to take each other seriously or be vulnerable out of fear of being made fun of or some sort of unnuanced, just hateful attack. And I think sincerity is scarce, but all the more important, which makes How I Met Your Mother all the more important of a show. Thank you guys so much for this and changing my life. And Josh, I love liberal arts. It's one of my favorite movies ever, and I just want you to know that my heart is gooey because of you. If you know, you know. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm alone. What a pity I won't be soon in New York City. When I see you, please permit me to tell you everything in New York City.
Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of How We Made Your Mother. I'm Josh Radnor. I am here with my good friend and former professional colleague, but forever friend, Craig Thomas. Hi, Craig.
Hey, Josh. We're still technically professional colleagues because we're doing this show.
Oh, yeah, we are professional colleagues.
This is
a profession. So today we'll be discussing the Josh Radnor 2012 film Liberal Arts, I believe. Thank you so much for that audio.
How nice
note.
was that to hear?
That was fantastic. And yes, Allison Janney says to my character, put some armor around that gooey little heart of yours. She's quite as cynical. I mean, in some ways that scene, let's actually talk about liberal arts. That scene is an argument between an idealist and a cynic, you know? And I think, I think we all have that conversation going on in our heads, right? I mean, How I Met Your Mother makes that quite explicit. You know, there's cynical stuff. There's romance and anti-romantic people and all kinds of stuff. But I think we're always at war a little bit with the head and the heart, I think.
Yeah, and afraid to lead too much with the heart because it feels so vulnerable. Like you were saying, that was a great message. Thank you for that message. That is the debate, right? How much can we lead with our heart? How foolish will we look if we do that? And yet it's kind of the best thing to do at the same time.
And it does feel like all the great moments in our life are the ones where we do take that leap, you know, where we do, we circumvent the warnings of our heads and we go for it. My Jesse, who produced both my movies, Jesse Hara, my friend, we wanted to make a movie called The Hero Moment, just about that kind of idea that like we have these moments in our lives. I think there's my friend always quotes this Cameron Crowe, is it We Bought a Zoo? Where he says like, all you need is 6 seconds of courage or something like that, where it's like, that'll change everything if you can have those 6 seconds of courage.
It's really true. There's a few little junctures where you just have to power through power through those moments of doubt.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that How I Met Your Mother is good soul medicine for romantics everywhere. And this episode under discussion today is about as romantic as How I Met Your Mother gets, which is to say, very romantic.
Yeah. This is the perfect lead-in to this episode.
Yeah. We were talking about Drumroll, Please, which is episode 13. When did this air, Alec?
This aired on January 23rd, 2 weeks after its predecessor aired on January 9th, 2006.
Yeah, I'm proud of those 2 weeks. I'm proud that we waited 2 weeks to give you who Victoria is. We made people really sweat it out at the end of the wedding episode.
But that's a real cliffhanger.
That was a baller move on our part.
We don't have the patience for that nowadays. But we've talked about how the wedding and Drumroll Please are essentially 1 hour of television or 44 minutes of television. It's really like it's a two-parter.
Yeah.
Much like the pilot and Purple Giraffe.
Yeah.
You know, in hindsight, kind of feel like a two-parter. Although this looks like more consciously like a two-parter, right? Was it designed that way?
It was. It really feels. I watched it as an hour the other night, knowing we talk about these 2 episodes this week, and you know, I can't think of it any other way other than as an hour. It's really, it was hard to talk about only the first half of it in our previous pod episode, because it picks up in real time, right? It ends, you come right back where you started, or right back where you left it. And I love it as an hour. I think it's really great. I think this isn't a case where I think it's cool we made people wait 2 weeks, and yet I think viewing it as an hour is probably the superior experience.
So can you give us your quick writer's room synopsis of what happens in this episode, essentially?
Yeah, this has one of my favorite How I Met Your Mother structures. If I'm honest, we're in episode 13 of season 1. We're already ripping ourselves off because the form of this has a great resemblance to the pineapple incident, right? Where it's the day after and you're piecing together this mystery and clues of the night before, and everyone is needed in the present day that next morning to put together the full story of what was going on last night. Most of all, Robin, which is a great twist to reveal that Robin did show up when we thought she was not going to be able to show up to the wedding. So it is basically Ted had this amazing night with this woman. They agreed upon this idea, Victoria and Ted, to not exchange information and not hear each other's last names, so they could just have one amazing night in the context of this sea of how terrible it is to date in New York City and feel lost. And they say, let's just make this one good night. We'll always hold on to this precious thing. They wake up, or Ted wakes up alone the next morning, not having even kissed, only having done the drum roll to the kiss, and explains this premise to Marshall and Lily, who think he's a complete idiot, and that he has to go find this girl. And then that becomes the drive of the episode.
And I wrote you this little ditty to sing to you in New York City.
We'll be right back.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce an idea. Ready?
Yeah, hit me.
Spring smells good.
Agreed.
You with me so far?
Yeah.
This is a children's book. I'm reading it.
Spring. Yeah.
Kitty litter smells bad.
Oh, yeah.
Are you still with me? I'm building a logic.
This
is a logical statement. And it interferes with enjoyment.
Yeah.
Right? That's how normal people talk.
Spring gets if you're out there, you're smelling spring and you're like, ooh, love is in the air. Rebirth, renewal, and then the smell of kitty litter wafts by. Day is ruined.
Yeah, and you know what I scream to the heavens?
What?
This has interfered with my enjoyment. I scream.
Yes.
So here, you know what? There's a fix for that. Ready?
Tell me.
Pretty litter obliterates odors, so you can enjoy all the wonderful scents of spring.
Ah, pretty litter. Pretty litters. This is my favorite phrase. Non-clumping formula. I hate clumping formula. So this is a non-clumping formula.
Another thing that interferes with enjoyment is clumping.
Yeah. It traps odor and moisture. It's ultra absorbent. It's lightweight, low dust, and 1 6-pound bag works for up to a month.
This is my favorite part. Pretty litter gives you peace of mind. It changes color to indicate early signs of potential illnesses in my theoretical cat, like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and more. I think this is genius. I want this for humans.
Since Pretty Litter ships free right to your door, you'll never run out, and you won't have huge kitty litter bags taking up space.
interfering with your enjoyment. Pretty Litter helps keep your house smelling fresh and clean. Try it and you'll love it. Go to prettylitter.com/HWMYM. Those letters apply to the title of our podcast. To save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy, that's prettylitter.com/HIMYM. To save 20% on your first order, get a free cat toy, prettylitter.com/HWMYM. I'm just going to keep saying it. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. Non-clumping.
Look, Craig, I'm going to be honest with you. I sometimes just get paralyzed with indecision. And do you know what paralyzes me with the indecision?
What?
Too many choices.
Too many choices.
Do you know?
The curse, the 21st century curse.
Yeah.
It is the curse.
If only there was a way to simplify some of these big choices. What's one of the biggest choices you make in your life? One of the biggest purchases?
I would say, I don't know, just off the top of my head, a car.
Cars. That's exactly right.
Cars, plural.
We are
Cars,
so connected.
And now we're not
so
looking at the
connected.
same script for something or anything at all. We're just talking like friends do.
Yeah. But there is a way to streamline and simplify this whole crazy big car buying purchase experience. Let me introduce you to car gurus.
Oh boy. Have you met car gurus? That's what we're doing. We're playing Have You Met Car Gurus?
Yeah.
And now we have, thanks to you. You're solving life's problems.
Making a big purchase like buying a car should come with confidence, not confusion. Car Gurus helps you cut through the noise, showing you the best deals and in-depth vehicle details so you can feel confident about your purchase, because when it comes to your big deal, you deserve the best deal.
I think I do deserve it. Shopping for a car should be exciting, Josh, not exhausting. But between misleading prices and hidden fees, it can feel like a maze. That's true. That's where Car Gurus comes in. They rank the best deals, verify dealers, and make sure you never pay more than you should. Your big deal just became a great deal.
Car Gurus will connect you with trusted dealerships when you're ready, ensuring a transparent and hassle-free buying process. With over 4 million listings, Car Gurus has more car listings than any other major online automotive marketplace in the US, so you can find the best deal. Car Gurus gives you the control to shop how you want to shop with the tools, information, and data-driven deal ratings you need.
It's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.com, cargurus.com.
And now, back to the show. I have a question for you. Was this in any way, was Victoria's kind of premise of like, let's not exchange real names, let's just only have anticipation, let's lead. Was any of this influenced by the end of Before Sunrise, the first in the Before trilogy, where at the end they say, let's not exchange information, let's just meet back here in, what is it, a year? Like meet back on this train platform in a year. And then it's revealed in the second one that he showed up and she didn't. Not to spoil, if you haven't seen those, just you can, they're still delightful with that information. But it does feel like there's a kind of romantics idea of like, you know, screw the world and logistics, like our hearts will lead us back to each other. Was some of that at play?
Yeah. I think some of that was in there because we love those movies so much. By the way, welcome to our podcast, ruining the ending of Richard Linklater films. We're going to do Slacker next.
Well, it actually ruins the beginning of one of them. Yeah.
No, but some of that was in there. I don't know how explicitly. The actual thing of we're going to almost kiss but not kiss, I think Gloria Calderon-Kellett lived this in her real life. I don't remember if it was with her husband-to-be, who then became her husband, or if it was with somebody else. There was some circumstance where I think that she and somebody else did this, knowing that they shouldn't go any further for whatever reason. And I think it was sparked literally by something in real life. The whole sort of like larger premise of the episode definitely relates to some of those big rom-com swings, and that's that idea of like, let's meet up on the top of the Empire State Building a year from now. I forget what old movie that was. I'm completely blanking on what that one was, but for sure we were tapping into some of those kind of like big swing romantic comedy contrivances in the best possible sense of the term.
It strikes me that her the offering she makes, or the idea she has, is on some level an incredibly wildly romantic thing. It's saying the anticipation and the lead up to whatever it is always the best, least complicated part, where it's only the promise of something. Where there's a bit of like a wounded undertone of the whole thing is like it gets messy after that. So she's in some ways trying to extract, like alchemy, like just pull the gold out of the thing, and leave the lead for some other experience, right? So it's both romantic, but it's also evidence for both of them that they've been through it. You know what I mean? They're really both trying to create circumstances where they don't have to deal with collateral damage, the shrapnel of things going wrong.
Yes, that's right. Baked into the cake is the wounds that they've already gotten, and they're only like in their late 20s, which is interesting. It does add kind of like, without saying it, it adds kind of this gravitas to the whole, to all the proceedings that follow, and they're avoiding heartbreak by needing this one good thing. The problem is the morning after, when they wanted to keep knowing each other.
The mind is constantly on the hunt for ease and frictionlessness, no problems, zero effort. And the universe is always like, yeah, that's not how it works. That's simply not how it works. Like you're going to have to step in it,
Yeah, it feels like a slight corollary to like cheating on the test is sort of as much work as just studying for the test. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't...
Yeah.
Like, it's going to get you one way or the other.
Yeah, so we actually have a question on this topic. We're not going to be doing a general questions.
General questions.
Fine, good, well done.
Continue.
Episode. But I did get a great question just on this topic of the kiss. And by the way, in a couple weeks, we'll do another general questions, and we'll collect your questions this one. General questions. So please hold on to your general questions. General questions for this episode. Thank you very much. And here is one
You're just doing this on purpose.
From a fan.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Ashley Williams. I played Victoria on the show How I Met Your Mother. Listen, I just got word that you're going to be watching Drumroll, please. Now, confession, when I got that information that you were going to be watching Drumroll, please, I was like, wait, there's also an episode called The Wedding. Which is Drumroll and which is The Wedding? Because aren't they both
Fair.
The Wedding? Anyway, hopefully now that you've watched, you've deciphered. That was, I believe, my first episode of the show. Unless it was The Wedding.
The Wedding.
Which one's The Wedding? Can I get an assistant? Anyway, Alec
Wedding.
just said, do you have any questions for them? Did anybody else feel like it was like a little intense that she said no kissing? Right? Like, I disagree.
Oh.
The moment before the kiss is great, but the kiss... Why couldn't they have kissed, kept their eyes closed, separated, then bye-bye?
Oh, boy.
Am I wrong? Discuss.
Oh,
Ashley,
my God.
great
We
to
love
see you.
Ashley so much. Just
Wow.
seeing her face made me happy.
Here's Ashley's dedication to this. She's in Bulgaria right now. And we were emailing about her eventual visit here. And I said, we are recording this in 1 hour. I'm sorry I only thought of this right now. Would you mind asking a question? And she's like, absolutely.
So that just came in? That's hot off the
That
presses,
is
that
hot
video?
off the presses. That is
Unbelievable.
Just-
what a
just-
treat. Thanks for that.
Pure joy. The best.
Yeah, you know what? She's so right. Like Drumroll Please could have been the one before, and then The Wedding could have,
Yeah, the titles are confusing. By the way, just to say it, The Wedding should have been called +1.
Oh.
I was watching The Wedding, and I'm like, there's a
Yeah.
billion fucking things that could be called The Wedding. The whole debate, the whole symposium is did Ted check +1?
That's right.
It should have been called +1. I'm just going to, every few episodes, I'm just going to regretfully say.
Do you know what I
it should have
think?
been
You know
titled.
how they say that, our questions reveal about it. Like, I think we just learned, like,
Yeah.
Ashley loves kissing.
She loves kissing.
She
Hey.
doesn't care about the lead up. She
I
likes the main event.
This is either neutral or a compliment to you. It's definitely not bad. She was either open to wanting to kiss you or really wanted to kiss you.
Yeah. But
it's a fair
also,
question.
It's also funny that we're in a time in whatever human history where not kissing is considered kind of like radical. Like in old timey things like a knees touching under the table were
Right.
just charged with so much erotic energy because it was like you wouldn't be touching, you wouldn't be, holding hands. Like these things that historically have been like big leaps are now just, I don't know, just a good night out,
Totally. I mean, look, it isn't, she has this master plan. It is a little bit intense, but I think the answer to the question is what we were just talking about before Ashley's clip, which is there's some wounds behind that thing, right? She's like, she's acknowledging that maybe that she has, and she assumes Ted has rushed into some shit that has ruined whatever magic began, began that spark. And she says, should we just preserve like this like precious little flame in our hands, like a Jack London short story? Like, can we just preserve this one little thing just to keep us hopeful moving forward in life? And then we'll never see. It's an intense idea, but it's born of some sort of a scar,
right. But also, there's a lot of talk about Barney loving good stories and Barney always trying to create the stories, but Ted's a lover of a good story from a different angle. Yes. And this is like when she suggests this, it's kind of like, all right, like I'll try anything once, And I think like Ted is always, he's always a little bit like, his first impulse is to act cooler than he actually is, which is, with like with Robin in Purple Giraffe, like I can be chill, I can not care. My heart can be unengaged. I'm just a dude. But then he's like, oh no, like I really, he's got a little bit of a like, what's better than a little bit of a good thing is a lot of a good thing,
Yes.
And also I think, we love, I think, leaving like a little trace of something, like, to spoil the ending. I mean, if you're listening to this, we assume you've watched.
We have to at least be able to spoil the ending of the episode we're talking about.
But there's something about Victoria's "Thank God" that is so great. It's such a good ending
it makes
to an episode.
Like, it feels like I find myself very moved by that moment. There's something very deeply moving about that moment.
And also like the subtle thing of Ted putting on the bleach stained sweatshirt.
Yeah, I love that.
Is such a cool move because it's like he is suiting up for her. Like it's his version of suiting up.
Yeah.
But also her "Thank God" is almost like I left you just enough breadcrumbs to find me.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Like,
by the way, good metaphor for a baker. Breadcrumbs. Well played, sir.
That's right. That's right. I left just enough powdered sugar trail for you to find me. But it feels like it feels like it's also evidence of his cleverness and his listening, right? Like he was able to Sherlock his way towards her.
Yeah, and coming in so unadorned, the opposite of the bravado that like Barney would exhibit, right? Barney's like, my suit says everything about me. Ted's saying, I want to show you who I really am and who you seem to want to see, the real me in the stained sweatshirt. Yeah. And like there's something so after this night where they're in tuxedos and wedding dresses and whatnot, the next day to come in without any armor at all. He do the literal opposite Barney. He's suited down. Literally Barney says suit up, Ted suits down. And there's something so sweet about that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It also feels like it's this whole evening, somewhat Ted engineers it, but also it's the fate is on his side, at least in this night. Because I imagine, and this is where there is a little overlap with me and Ted, like I was not at a wedding or any party, like unless I was really on something, but I was never like at the center of the dance floor, going crazy. I was always hoping to, and not even in a romantic context, like my favorite moments of parties are like when you fall into that great conversation in the corner. You can really go deep and kind of like be off to the side. And this is a whole evening of that for him. He falls in with this woman who's just a great, I mean, she's clearly like witty and funny, and she seems to share a kind of romantic ideal with him. It's perfect. I mean, it's a Mosby could not have scripted this better in some ways,
the universe
and even,
is giving
and even the I think even though we long for ease and we long for frictionlessness, what we actually want is just enough struggle so that we get to the other side of it and it feels great. So I think that's why the ending is so satisfying. Like he had to sleuth his way back to her.
Yes.
And her relief at seeing him and his relief at seeing her. And now we can finally kiss. It's almost like they really earned it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think she made Ted earn it, right? She kind of laid down some gauntlets and some obstacles. And like, if you can trace this breadcrumb path and do these things and kind of show me you're like, man, show me you're worthy of me.
Yeah,
and he proves himself worthy. It's really kind of a hero's journey in this episode. And Ted is so undaunted by any of it. I find Ted I don't want to create an unsafe workplace for you here, Josh, but I find Ted very sexy in this episode.
Yes. Let's just say
he's got a
Let's
lot
just
of
say
swagger.
what we need to say.
He's got a lot of like confident swagger in this one. I was watching this one like Ted's got some fucking game in this one. Like very just yes and very like completely nothing she's throwing down is throwing him off, and he's like confident the whole way. It's great. It's like he let go of this idea of he was going to take Robin to the wedding and the part one of this. He's let go of this what it has to be, and he finds this woman who lays down this whole new series of challenges, and Ted's like, yep, what's next? You know what I mean? I really like that energy.
I would argue that maybe Ted is like, at least in these early episodes, like he's like 83% smooth, to use a percentage that is famously How I Met Your Mother-y. He's 83% smooth, and then there's this 17% where he can't stop.
Yeah.
His Mosby, the I love you comes in. Like the thing that he it's almost like he needs to work on impulse control. It's like the famous study of like delayed gratification, with the kids and the cookies and everything. Like he still needs some remedial work on that.
It's so true.
But it's also funny, like when you say, it's like this mythic challenge. Like I imagine, speaking of college courses on How I Met Your Mother, didn't someone say at the limo they did like a paper on gender roles in 2000s comedies? There's something, you have so many, are they called boons? Like the object that you have to.
Yeah. Like in the hero's journey. I think so. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So there is something like you guys are creating a contemporary myth.
Yeah. She's up in the castle. It really is like Ted has to find his way up to the damsel. Like there is something very
she makes herself untouchable. There's also something about romantic comedies where I've heard that it's harder to write romantic comedies now, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about, like Victorian, eyes across the room or fingertips touching was so hot and so laden with subtext and all this stuff. But now that people are just allowed, times have changed. You meet up, you're attracted to them, you sleep with them, you don't sleep with them. There's not a lot of roadblocks, but romantic comedies are all about what's in the way of the couples getting together. Yeah. And sometimes it's part of their character. Sometimes it's like a fiance is in the way.
Yeah.
Or people have created like distance, Sleepless in Seattle is all like they're in different areas of, so it feels like you guys writing this classic, but also at the time, like fresh take on the romantic comedy. You have to create. So it's like what I would say to Ashley, as lovely and hilarious as her observation is, well, why does she do that? So we have a good 22-minute episode of television,
to create obstacles.
To create an obstacle.
Yeah.
So it does feel a little strange by our standard, but also like when everyone's doing one thing, there can be a lot that you discover by going the opposite direction.
Yeah, totally. Here's my question about Victoria at that wedding. First of all, is it plausible that a baker is there at the wedding the whole time? Second, if the baker of the wedding cake was there, the one thing they should do is be there to cut and serve the cake and like oversee that part of it. Victoria fucking bails on that so hard. She disappears from the wedding. They come back. The wedding's over. The cake's gone. I say that Victoria a little bit had one job at that wedding and she blew it. She was she kind of went off on a whole other narrative, and I kind of love that, but it really caught my eye this time.
Every single episode you could say like, this is the narrative like trick we pulled, or like this shouldn't have been. By all logical standards, this makes no sense.
Yes,
but again, you're rigging the mystery, right? It's a really great moment when Claudia says there was no one named Victoria at my wedding.
Oh my God, there's so many good moments, little twists along the way. I think all the best How I Met Your Mother episodes are mini mysteries within this larger series mystery of how does Ted find this woman, and have these kids, and what is Ted's future? How does he get there? It's a larger, writ large, it is this enormous arcing decade-long mystery kind of, but the DNA, the little ingredients of it are themselves these little mysteries, a lot of the best ones, Pineapple Incident, this one. I love all the twists and turns. I love There's no Victoria at this wedding. I love, and the reveal that Robin did actually come to the wedding is a great twist and heartbreaking. And really tells you a lot all at once. And then it becomes about that, and you didn't see that coming. I really like that twist this time.
Well, you guys, I think, were really masterful at the withholding information.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Like deciding how to dole it out. Yeah.
And creating some sense of disorientation that ultimately gets solved. So even though you were teasing the audience with this long 9-year mystery, within each episode or many episodes, you could almost like do a thing on like different classifications of episodes, like mystery. You could say like there are a bunch of How I Met Your Mother episodes that are almost like just proper mysteries.
Yeah.
You know, Ted Mosby Architect is a mystery.
There's a lot of them. There's like
Pineapple
every third episode is like it's some version of that. Every fifth one anyway. Yeah.
So you do get the narrative satisfaction of like a smaller scale mystery solved.
Yeah.
Which I think it's really fun.
It's really fun. And when you realize that Claudia, who knows every inch of this wedding, does not recognize the name Victoria, this has good act breaks.
But would she also not know the name of the baker?
I know. I had a little bit of that moment too. There's a few buys in here. It's Stuart and Claudia being their best friends all of a sudden, just for this one episode, these 2 episodes. Yeah. Victoria. Yeah. There's a few buys.
Also, isn't one of the first things you say at a wedding, are you here for the bride or the groom? Or like, how are you here?
Yeah, they probably would have covered this, but they did agree to this kind of clandestine, like, we're not going to give each other too much information or context. So I do, I guess you could buy it.
And this old man, he must admit he fell in love with you in New York City.
And now, commercials. Josh, I have a question for you.
Yeah, Craig, I hope I can answer.
I know you can, because you're into meditation. You've been known to meditate. Am I correct about this?
It's one of the things I'm known for.
You are known for it. The world around.
My meditation prowess. I'm one of the great meditators. It's really
because it is about the competition aspect.
It's the competition aspect is why I got into meditation. Yes, I've triumphed the world over.
Do you ever watch it on ESPN? ESPN2?
The meditation championships?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I think if they threw me in there, I could at least medal.
You'd medal? Bronze, maybe?
Yeah. Well, I've been a meditator for a long time. It's helped me so much. If you're anything like me, you've got a loud, noisy mind with intrusive thoughts that sometimes offer up the least helpful. What's the opposite of a pep talk? Sometimes that's my mind.
Yeah.
So meditation just helps me quiet down those voices and just reconnect with my center. Like the part of me that's the witness, the part of me that's just watching things rather than sitting by the bank of the river watching it roll by rather than getting holding on a log and being dragged over rocks.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And vivid. What can help us? What for people on the go? For people who are trying to figure it out on the fly? What do we do?
Well, we here at How We Made Your Mother recommend the Headspace app. You don't have to go to a monastery in the mountains. You don't have to go to a week or 2 week long retreat. Right in your pocket, they have thousands of meditations of varying lengths. You can do a few moments to recharge, a couple minutes. You can do longer meditations. The options are endless, and it's really a perfect app for people on the go, which means everyone.
Yeah, and a little bit goes such a long way. You think you don't have time for it, but even like a few minutes can make a difference. And then if you have more time, do it for more time. But like anything makes a difference is what I find.
Yeah, and if you've been meditating for a long time or you're very new, you can find a meditation to match wherever you're at, which is really exciting. So here's what we say: feel good and mean it when you say it. For a limited time, get Headspace free for 60 days. Go to headspace.com/yourmother. That's HEADSPACE.com/yourmother to unlock all of Headspace free for 60 days. Headspace.com/yourmother.
Now, Josh, I don't get stopped on the street often. For any reason, really. Although I did recently get recognized for the podcast. Somebody that watches the podcast on YouTube recognized me in a store, but that doesn't relate to the story
How'd
at
that
all.
feel?
But it was thrilling.
Yeah.
It was thrilling, and then I was like, please respect my privacy. I was a real jerk about it.
Yeah.
No.
You went through every round of being a celebrity, like every stage of being a celebrity in like 30 seconds.
In this one interaction. Yeah. No, but I really did get stopped. This is a true story. This is a Vessi true story, a Vessi shoe-based true story. I was walking my daughter to school, and some guy who looks kind of like my stunt double, like another sort of exhausted dad with a young daughter, and he's like, "I like those shoes," and he points to my Vessi shoes. And he's like, those are cool because it looks like you could like walk your daughter to school, walk your dog, which is what I was doing. He's like, but you could like put on dress those up a little bit, put on a blazer, you could wear them out to someone. I was like, and I basically did an ad for Vessi to this one guy on the street.
Was this the same guy who recognized you from the podcast?
It was not.
Oh. So your face got recognized and then your shoes got complimented.
Yeah, it was. I wish I could say it was all the same day because that would have been a great day. But no, this was entirely shoe-based. This guy had no idea who I was. And I basically performed what we're doing right now for him one-on-one.
It's very exciting. You know, it's been raining in New York City, and I'm getting a lot of mileage out of my Vessi raincoat.
That is a very stylish and breathable, light, great raincoat. And these shoes are also breathable, light, very easy to put on and off. I'm so lazy. I love how easy they're to put on and off. And they are waterproof with all the rain. So that's our little Vessi story. Listen, guys, here's the other thing we're going to say about it. Make every day a little easier. Visit vessi.com/yourmother now for 15% off your first pair at checkout and start exploring with confidence. Embrace every journey, rain or shine. End of commercials. Back to show. Boy, just to talk for a second about Ashley again, like, first of all, she comes on and there's like a 20-second clip of her and like your day's better just even see. She's one of those people, like you see her, you hear her voice, your day is just a little bit better. You guys had such a great connection right away. And of course, we wanted the audience to think this could be the mother, right? We didn't dispel, we didn't confirm or deny that. We made people wait 2 weeks back when these episodes used to be every Monday and not all at once to figure out who she was. What's your memory of like you get thrown into this like one of Ted's greatest rom-com outings, I think, right? The wedding plus Drumroll, that hour is one of the best Ted romantic comedy, kind of its own mini little movie. How did you feel? How did you and Ashley, like you knew Ashley a little bit, right? How did you guys connect? How did you feel working with her like this, like in this very intense way all of a sudden?
I think the charm and the ease one feels watching her as Victoria. The kind of open, there's like a silliness to her, like in the best kind of way, like a kind of, like she can be both sincere and such a goofball, which is so charming. And I think, I don't know, I immediately felt like this allyship with her. I felt like, oh, this is a great, both addition to the cast for this story we're telling. Yeah. And also just like a really great person to be in the trenches with. I mean, she had done a lot of stuff and she knew the drill. I think sitcom acting is deceptively hard. Yeah. I think the best ones make it look quite easy. It's like, that's part of the trick of it, is that it looks kind of easy. But I remember feeling, especially in Drumroll, like I remember reading Drumroll and being like, oh yeah, this is a good one for Ted. Yeah. This is really good. And I liked getting to be heroic romantically. I thought, like, if I'm asked to do one big thing in this show, it's to be like a romantic hero, like be a hero for open-hearted, sincere, vulnerable dudes everywhere who really want to meet someone and go for it, Yeah. And I think it was an untapped market, like by the evidence of many men and women saying, I relate to Ted so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you guys really hit on an archetype that had been kind of unexplored, because I think the idea was in culture, like most men are like Barney, like they just, the old ball and chain. I don't want to be, I'd rather be out with the boys, or I'd rather be, meeting someone. And I think you guys just wrote this guy that I helped bring to life with you, that was a different breed, but really way more common than we realized. And I also remember as the scenes wore on, like I remember like when the bow tie kind of came untied, like I felt really like I was both as a character, like really dropped into the moment, very relaxed in a kind of like young Richard Gere kind of way, you know, like it just felt like easy. And Ashley has that thing of like, if she's supposed to be attracted to you, you feel attractive. You know what I mean? Like she's got that like generous quality as an actress where she's helping you, you know, 'cause she's really playing along. She laughs at your jokes in just the right way that makes you feel like, you know what, I'm pretty funny, you know? And you're like, I don't know if that's Victoria or Ashley, but it's making me feel good. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I thought she was, I mean, I couldn't imagine anyone else playing the role. She was fantastic, and she was always just a delight to have on set. She was always, she's one of those actors that always look like delighted to be there, you know?
She has that twinkle in her eye. She just has that thing. It's just like a little bit magic. It kind of can't be faked or learned or practiced. She has that thing. And
also, just a shout out, like, she's been showing up for these Paul Grossfield events for years, you know, to help us raise money.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to point that out too. We all these years later, we do these, our band, The Solids, we did the How I Met Your Mother theme song, and like Carter and I, it's Carter, my band, and we wrote a lot of the silly songs for How I Met Your Mother. And we do a charity fundraiser concert every year the past few years. We're going to keep doing it. I will very much plug it on this show. It'll be some months away, the next one. But Ashley always comes out and does the song list. We did Victoria by the Kinks, which we used later in the series. Spoilers. Ashley, you can tell by how much we love her. She comes back later. If you're watching the show for the first time, sorry. But I'm not sorry, because you get more Ashley, and so you're welcome. And so she comes out, and she has such pride for having been part of How I Met Your Mother, and she's such a open-hearted, amazing person that she loves to help raise money for this good cause. That the cause is to do research into congenital heart conditions for pediatric, you know, basically kids like my son who had open heart surgery or had any kind of congenital heart defect. This is raising money to do research into that. And she just she shows up. She flies from LA to New York to be part of the concert. Josh has done every one of them too. Thank you, Josh. And she's one of those people. She's just one of those people. Going back to the scene of you guys playing at the piano, I was just going to say when we're talking about your guys' chemistry, I loved the moment because she is so confident, right? She is the ringmaster of this, right? She's laid down the rules of this game. We're not going to kiss. We're only going to drum roll. We're not going to tell each other any more information than these first names, which only reluctantly got spilled because of Barney saying Ted 5,000 times, which is so funny.
And also his insistence on saying it over and over.
Ted. So funny. But then there's this moment, the first time you guys almost kiss at that piano, which also it's funny because all of a sudden Ted's great at piano. I don't know if we ever showed Ted being great at piano ever again. It was a lot of like weird little buys but that moment where you guys almost kiss and she kind of pulls back from fully kissing, and she looks so for just one moment very helpless, very like she's under Ted's thrall there for a minute. She's gone a little bit past where she meant to go. And she plays it in this great moment. And you realize she's been playing the whole thing so in control up to that moment. And then she flips it in that moment. She shows that she's also vulnerable. She's not running things.
Signal.
That was totally the signal.
That was the signal.
I love how she played that moment. That is a great
I also love it's kind of like that great thing of like use what's in the room, right? He's on the piano, but when she says something about not kissing him, he hits all the bass notes.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was so funny. Yeah, that was such a great moment. Yeah, that was a laugh out loud from my wife Rebecca watching that. Rebecca loves this two-parter too, and I think was like, this is a good Ted one. You guys are gonna have fun talking about this one. Yeah. She laughed out loud at the minor chord moment there.
Alec, let's play Jordana's. This is of course a section where we're calling questions and observations from a clinical psychologist who's never seen How I Met Your Mother and also happens to be married to Josh.
I felt like this episode was some sort of turning point in the show for me. Halfway through, I said to Josh, I'm suddenly feeling very attached to these characters. I was laughing harder at the jokes. Certain moments were tugging at the heartstrings more deeply. And later I was reflecting on why that might be. And I think for me, it's because it's the first episode where Robin showed real vulnerability. It's almost like I couldn't be fully in. I couldn't fully fall for this love story until she did. This is the first time we see her cry. We see that she really feels what Ted is feeling too. And the title Drumroll, Please, which, we think is about the anticipation between Victoria and Ted, I actually think on a deeper level is about Ted and Robin and their long, drawn-out drum roll and the audience staying in that anticipation with them for many, many years. But I'm curious if you also felt like this was some sort of turning point for the show, if you felt like it was this episode that really hooked people, and if so, why?
That's a great question. I love that she pointed out the Robin of it all, because we haven't talked that much about that. It happens later in the episode, but the reveal that Robin went to the wedding and saw Ted and Victoria seemingly kissing. Of course, she didn't know they were going to pull up at the last minute from actually kissing, and then cried in the bathroom. I totally, Jordana, that's a great point, because seeing her in tears in that bathroom stall is a huge pivot point for the Robin and Ted of it all, and so many other things. It lays groundwork for so many other things that are going to happen that season and in the series. And it's true, we haven't seen Robin exhibit that amount of vulnerability and feeling, and it may be surprised because it's a great moment because it seems to surprise her too. I think Kobe plays this great thing of like, what's happening? She's like a robot crying. She's like, what are these crazy? Why is there water coming out of my eyes? And I love that moment too. I think Jordana is very astute to say that was a moment that hooked you in deeper to like the larger Robin and Ted story.
Yeah. It also, I mean, I agree. I could feel when Robin enters, it lifts this from like a charming kind of episode of television to like a real heartfelt episode. Because it's like, I remember someone in grad school, I think when I was in grad school at NYU, it was something like we were all standing in a circle, and it was like you're in love with the person. You're facing the back of the person, and someone's looking at your back, and it was like you're in love with the person whose back you're staring at, and it was like that's every Chekhov play. It's like everyone's in love with someone who's not in love with them, and it feels like I think there's a phenomenon that is not coined, or no, I don't know the phrase for it, but it's when someone knows someone is in love with someone or someone has feelings for it, they're not going to be with the person necessarily. They don't want to maybe be with the person, but they enjoy basking in that affection, that kind of affectionate light.
Yeah.
And if that person removes that focus and light and shines it elsewhere, that person's like, wait a minute, where did you go? So I think there's something interesting about Robin kind of, keeping Ted at arm's length. She's dating other people, but clearly she's sitting at that bar at McLaren's. She's got to catch him looking over at her. And I'll get you another drink. He's got a bit of he's really trying to be the guy for her. Yeah. And the moment she sees him with a beautiful woman at a wedding that's not her, this rush of like feeling comes out that I think really takes her by surprise. And I'm not saying Robin is the type who's like, oh, I just want Ted to be my puppy dog all the time. I think she really genuinely realizes in that moment, oh, I do like this guy. I'm terrified of commitment. I'm terrified of breaking hearts and getting heartbroken. But at the same time, I'm having an emotional response to this, and it's really taken me by surprise.
Yeah. And I think that sort of power flip in that moment is really interesting in their dynamic, right? Because she's doing for her a grand romantic gesture. Her showing up in that dress, running there after her like big moment, anchoring the 11 p.m. news. This is a huge career thing for her. She's always said career comes first, but she bolts out of that experience to go catch up with Ted. Right. That's a huge gesture. That's a holding up a blue French horn gesture for Robin. And when she gets there, and she's missed him. She's missed some window of opportunity. She literally sees him moving on from her, like quite literally in real time in front of her eyes. It really hits her. It really hits her. And Kobe played that so beautifully.
I do think the bathroom stall scene between the two of them is just a beautiful thing. Yeah. I also was like, this episode is smashing the Bechdel test. Do you know what the Bechdel test is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's where you have two female characters, both of whose name the audience knows, having a conversation. Oh, I guess maybe it doesn't, because they're talking about
I was
they're not.
worried. I was wondering where you're going with it because they're kind
you're
of talking
right.
about a guy.
They are talking
Well,
about a
no,
guy,
but not
but
really.
they're not. They're talking around it, right? Because
They're talking around it.
They're not
Yeah.
talking about a guy. She's just trying to comfort her.
Yeah. And Victoria's showing what a good person she is and comforting this woman. She has no idea what's wrong with Robin. And Robin's not realizing, shit, not only is Ted about to kiss this woman is really a warm-hearted, caring person, too.
Do you know the actress Aya Cash? Do you know who?
No,
who
I don't
that
think
is?
so.
I've done a bunch of stuff with her. She's really brilliant and funny. Her mom is a poet, quite a well-known, well-regarded poet. And she has a poem. Maybe we could put this poem in the show notes, Alec. It's called "To the Woman Crying Uncontrollably in the Stall Next to Me."
Oh, man, I think I've read this poem. Yeah.
And it's almost the exact premise, just like, you know, it's a little pep talk to a woman crying in the stall. But I don't know. I mean, do they talk necessarily about Ted? I think it's more like, I don't know. I think she's just comforting
It's
her.
just the moment. Yeah, they're not
It's just the
literally
moment,
talking
yeah.
about Ted. Yeah. No, it's a nice moment. That's that. And they never see each other and she just sees the shoes. In fact, I have a prop. Hang on one second. I have a prop.
Okay.
We're watching it and we see, and I was like, I love that thing where you just see her shoes. And Rebecca, my wife, gets up and walks into the bedroom to her jewelry thing and comes back and holds up this, which is exactly what was on the snowflake from Victoria's shoes. I was like, how do you have that? She's like, your costume designer. I was like complimenting it during that shoot day. And they were like, well, we're done with it. It's all shot. Why don't you take this? So she has this
that's cool.
as like a little pendant. So I have this little snowflake from Victoria's shoe that you see.
It's a great
under that
moment
bathroom,
when Barney's like, he's a dude. He's not going to know what kind of shoes she wore. But it's also like, it's not because Ted is like into female shoes. It's because she literally handed them to him. You know?
Yes, there was no fetish required there. It was
yeah.
But yeah, it's all a mystery. It's all clues, right? It's all mystery and clues. Robin has to fill in this other part of the mystery. We had no idea Robin was even there, but she's the door to the final the final port of the video game.
Much like Ted will sacrifice his own needs and wants to make Robin happy, I don't think she actually does it, but she is right about to say, I know who this woman is and I can tell you where, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
she knew she was the baker, right?
Yeah.
So she was going to put Ted's, desires and happiness above her own, the same way that Ted has done that repeatedly so far in the show.
It's so bittersweet and yet sweet, and it's really nice. I like not knowing what she's going to say to Ted when she's like going down to the bar. It's great suspense. Which way is she going to go with it? Mm-hmm. Lily trying to push her towards Ted, Robin ultimately doing the right thing, or what she thinks is the right thing, trying to do what's best for Ted because Robin knows she's still Robin. She's still confused.
Yeah. I had a couple of other observations and things I loved about the episode. Can I just run through them?
Yeah, man.
Was that a picture of Gloria Calderon-Kellett?
I wanted to call everybody out. That was a picture of a whole bunch of people, including me and Rebecca. You catch that one? That's me and her. That's my wedding picture.
Gloria.
I know. It sort of goes by and you're like, oh, it's stock photos. Your brain goes to sleep for a second. But no, those are almost all. I don't remember every single one of them, but mostly How I Met Your Mother establishes Michael Shea and his wife. You see Stu Halpern's husband, Adam, is there at their wedding. And Stu is our post-producer. Myself and Rebecca, our wedding photo, one of our wedding photos is there. And God, there's a couple others that I'm now feeling bad that I'm blanking on who they were. But Gloria and Dave, Gloria and her husband Dave, are Gloria, the writer of this episode, who did a great job in this episode. Yeah,
that was really fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun when you're in the show. Like I think part of the Cirque. Remember, I said the Cirque and the Riff.
The Cirque and the Riff. I was thinking about
the Cirque is. There's a shot of the Cirque in like the first episode. Like there's a series of photographs. I think the Cirque made an appearance.
That's cool.
But I noticed this thing. Well, I like it when you're doing a show and you can actually put things in that are just literally Easter eggs for you. They're for no one else.
Yeah, totally.
Or for the friend who gets to be in a movie or a TV show. I liked when I think it's Lily who said, like, come on, it's for a good cause. Or they're talking to Barney, like, call her, like, it's for a good cause.
Yeah.
And there's something about Lily and Marshall, especially, like, getting Ted paired off is like part of their life's work. Like, this is like,
yes.
This is part of their like sacred duty on the earth. Like, We got to get to that front porch, like with
we got
a person with a woman we like, and this is very important for all of us.
Yes, this
it's like
will
this
affect
group
us
project.
Too.
They're all in on it.
It's
right?
a group project. It totally is. And Lily's like the leader of that project. Yes. And Marshall just wants to know who made that cake, which I love. Plays like sort of a very stupid little runner, but actually is the actual piece of information. It seems like such a stupid thing. Like he's just a guy who wants to eat this delicious cake. And I love how like religiously devoted he's become to this cake. But in the end, it actually is a huge plot point. It's like the one and only plot point of the whole episode.
And the fact that she's the one who made that cake even recruits him more. Like we have to go find this woman.
You've got to marry. This is the one. Yes. I'll eat this cake forever on that front porch if you just marry her.
Another Marshall line I loved, or Ictor.
It's probably not Ictor. That made me laugh out. That was a laugh out loud moment. This episode has a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good moments in this episode.
I know.
The wedding gets a little shorter shrift because it's kind of like it's the drum roll up to drum roll, please. That it's sort of the work you have to do to then like have the fun part of the roller coaster ride, which is this one. But boy, as an hour. What a good one.
The wedding has more narrative propulsion in a weird way.
Yeah. Well, there's this
the wedding is like, it just goes, it has an accelerated kind of thing. And Drumroll has a little more of a like, well, let's stop rowing here and sit on the side of the river for a minute and say something funny and then get back in. Yeah. But there's something also about morning afters that always have like some really funny stuff in the show.
Yeah. And constructing the mystery of what happened. And I love that. Obviously,
we talked about this in the last episode, but Lily saying happiness is not that difficult, which we both agreed is both smart and sensible and also a little bit young because
it's a little young.
It is. Yeah. And they hit their own rapids up ahead,
they do
more than a few times.
Yeah, I really like that because I like that we showed a couple that actually loves each other and they're not like the Bickersons, as they say. They're not like the TV couple that's always fighting, which is a real trope on TV, especially at the time when the show premiered. There was a lot of those. And I'm proud that we didn't do that, but I'm also proud that we showed that a couple that young might think they've got it all figured out. But if you keep watching, you will see them. We're not going to
be one of those couples.
You see them go do some shit too. Because it will find us all.
Another Allison Hannigan moment that I really loved when she finally gets Robin to admit she has feelings for Ted. And I think Robin says, "Are you happy now?" And Allie just says, "A little, yeah."
A little, yeah. What is it that she's doing in that moment that's so magical? That's one of those moments for me too. There's something, you can't teach that in acting, right? That's like...
No, she has a bunch of those in season 1, which are just like, they're just little adorable throwaways that couldn't be better. Like they just couldn't be better than.
And no one else could do it exactly the way she did it. I don't know what that is the ineffable. The ineffable thing, the thing that is just you can't put your finger on it. It's just magic. It's all of you guys. I love all of you guys equally.
When does Marshall say, "Baby, what are you talking about?" Like he said it like really in anger.
Yeah, he screams it like a crazy person. It's when he thinks they're gonna not go try to find
the cake,
Victoria. Yeah, because he wants to find the cake.
Yeah.
He's angry that he thinks they're not gonna go.
That was one of those Jason lines that on the page I don't think it was read.
Doesn't play like a joke, really.
No, but it plays like he just did it like he's in a Scorsese movie or something. Like he's just so much passion and
1,000% commitment to that. I like that Ted's in the middle of a big speech and Barney goes, "Crapper, get off the pot." I enjoy.
Yeah, that was great. We'll get to that in a second. But one of my other favorite, this is one of my favorite Ted lines, and it's a real throwaway. You have to listen for it. Of season 1. "You've been busting my apple bag all week."
I'm so glad you brought this up. I was afraid I was going to forget to mention that one.
I love it. It's like hot top, bro. Like it's just, I don't know why, it just delights me. It's not a phrase that's like was in the culture at that time.
No, it was in the culture in 1850.
He says it like, I don't know, it sounds like Newsies or something.
I have this memory that was one of our writers, Chris Marcel.
Oh, of course. Wait, was he the one who wore the pork pie hat or the other one?
Yeah, he did. He sort of felt old-timey in his way. Chris Marcel, and I think he would enjoy that characterization because that was his style. He always wore like these suits and like had like, vests, and he looked sort of like a Southern gentleman en route to the Kentucky Derby.
And his writing partner looked like a writer in Hollywood.
Yeah, just a writer in Hollywood, just like a dude. Yeah, they were a great duo. show, really funny dudes. I think they write on What We Do in Shadows now. They're really good writers. At some point, Alec, we got to do the full alumni list of like, these are the other things all the How I Met Your Mother writers did. We're so proud of how amazing the combined credits all are. But they're really funny. I had this feeling like that was from Chris because he sort of exists in an earlier era. He sort of exists, and he sort of just threw that out there, and everyone in the writers' room was like, what the fuck is that phrase? No one's ever said that. And we were just like, let's put it in there. Let's see if we can bring it back. I don't think we ever brought it back.
I like how it's said by Ted in a very like...
It's like, I say this all the time.
Like, yeah, last week you were busting my apple bag. This week you're busting my apple bag. Like, it's really funny and silly.
You say it, you played it in the best way where you call no attention to it and thereby like made it 10 times better. It's great.
Yeah. Just going back to that idea that Victoria had about preserving the perfection of it by not allowing it to get sullied by the later time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate repeating myself. And if I ever do, gentle listeners, just forgive me. But Richard Rohr, who's a Franciscan priest that I love, he has this thing about perfection that he says that I think is so smart. He says, human perfection excludes imperfection. Divine perfection includes imperfection.
Yeah. I don't think you've ever said that.
Do I need to say that anymore?
And if you did,
it's
a wonderful imperfection that you're repeating it.
Yes, exactly. But no, we as humans, we think perfection is like keep that imperfection out. But in the grand sense of things, imperfection's included. He has a book called Everything Belongs, right? Yeah. So I think in when you look at I think that's what a lot of people are saying when they write in and leave us voice notes about How I Met Your Mother is like, it kept them going because you see the imperfection and the struggle and why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening this way, but you see that it was all leading somewhere. It's
mostly about imperfection. The show,
it's mostly about imperfection. Yeah, but it also says that imperfection, not contrary to the idea that it means the universe is chaotic and disordered. It actually says no. Because of that, and because of the long tail of looking at things with some perspective, you see the universe is benevolent and ordered.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think literally we manifested it, whether we meant to or not, when Ted shows up in this completely imperfect outfit with bleach stains, right? They meet in tuxedos. He's a knight in shining armor, and she's the princess in the tower. And he goes in and she's covered in flour, putting frosting on cupcakes, and he's wearing a shirt with stains on it. And that's why I think that moment gets me so much when she says, "Oh, thank God," because he's kind of like, here's the real me. I'm willing to roll the dice on this being imperfect. Just look at me. And she's not in a perfect moment either. And they realize they're going to exist in imperfection together. They're going to risk stepping out of that one little night they were trying to put in like a little hothouse.
And even this is like garment as metaphor for the whole episode. Like a bleach stained sweatshirt is that thing in an object, right? It's like you are more attached to that sweatshirt once it has the bleach stain on it. It becomes somehow more perfect with its flaw.
Yes.
Right? And it becomes more
it's the
yours.
Wabi-sabi.
It's the wabi-sabi. It's like it's yours. It's a sign of your own humanity and your own imperfection. It mirrors it kind of rhymes, with him in the pilot going in, with all of them to go get Robin. Right? They're all in the taxi.
Rebecca was like, they always go everywhere with Ted in a taxi together.
I mean, they're wildly codependent and enmeshed.
It's lovely though. It's so funny. They're so
adorable.
Yeah.
But there's something, and then I don't know, like that speech is so lovely. But Barney's, crap or get off the pot is such a good treacle cutter.
That's the definition of a good treacle cutter.
That's it. That's
the
sugar right there. Yeah. But I remember. And maybe this is like Ashley just made me as an actor feel so good, but like there's something about watching me all these years later. I remember seeing this episode and I really liked just how I went and got her. There's something so satisfying about his masculine energy that is just forward.
He's like Han
Solo
Solo in this one. He's Luke Skywalker most of the time. He's Han Solo in this one.
There's something great about when Ted like craps or get off the pot, like when he's in decision, when he's out of his overthinky indecisive, when he's actually in action, he's an incredibly appealing guy. And you can understand why he would, know 83% of the time what to say to a woman.
Yeah, totally. And I think that it's one of the most comfortable I've seen you in an episode. Do you know what I mean? You just seemed very comfortable in this one. Like, I don't know. I think you and Ashley there was an energy that it unlocked that was like a little different in you in this one. And it's so lovely. And Ted, if you think about it, it's the embodiment of what you always say about Ted, which is like the resilience is sort of the spirit animal of Ted. He just got so fucked up in the previous episode by how hard he tried to get Robin to be his date to this wedding.
Yeah.
And kind of in the blink of an eye, he is able to scrape himself up from that defeat and be so present and kind of swagger into this new challenge and this new chapter. And I think you played it so great. I just think you owned the sort of like the relief of moving on to something new for Ted.
Yeah. But it's funny, Barney's vision for their night was like, we're both going to like get these bridesmaids. And Ted's like, no, I'm actually going to get a new girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a very serious relationship that's going to start tonight.
Starts right now.
This is how we like to end these episodes. We get so many wonderful letters filled with just so much love and gratitude and appreciation and insight. And we're moved every single week by these. Keep them coming. You can go to howwemadeyourmother.com and go to contact, and you can either leave us a voice note or write something, and hopefully it'll make it onto the air. This is a really fun part of this for us, is to hear from you guys. So
it's a gift. Thank you. Keep them coming. Definitely.
Dear HIMYM, this is the story of how I met you. It's 2011. I'm 18, fresh off the train from a small town in India, wide-eyed and overwhelmed in Mumbai. For context, it's like moving from a small town to New York. Everything was new, fast, and exciting. Soon enough, a girl I was very much interested in introduced me to How I Met Your Mother. It was a funny accident. We were at lunch when she took a sip of piping hot soup, winced and yelled, "Ouchie in my mouth," then burst out laughing. I had no idea what she was talking about. After an enthusiastic 15-minute sales pitch from her and a quick 10-minute hard drive transfer, I hit play on the pilot. Little did I know that this 720p file from a world I had no context for would change my life. Or as Barney would put it, it taught me how to live. At the time, my English wasn't great. I could barely string two proper sentences together. So the first thing I picked up from HIMYM was the language. But what kept me hooked was the world Carter, Craig, and Pam had built. The way Ted saw his life as a story in the making, that shaped me. His nostalgia, his deep reflections, and future Ted's narration, it all stayed with me. Now, when I'm with my friends or caught in an interesting moment, I remind myself that a couple years down the line, this will be a wonderful memory. And when it comes back unannounced, it'll make me smile. Ted's words have broken my heart, made me laugh, and now, after seeing just a little more of life, they feel more real than ever. Sometimes it's like he's talking about me. And then, of course, there's the writing, the brilliance of it all, the things HIMYM introduced, the playbook, the bro code, the drum roll, future Ted, future Marshall. You gave me a whole new vocabulary that was funny, fresh, and profound at the same time. I may or may not have stolen life lessons from the show and passed them off as my own wisdom to friends in need. Let's call it borrowing. Now at 29, as a filmmaker, I find myself going back to the show, not just for comfort, but for lessons. The way you took eccentric, lovable characters and pushed them into raw, vulnerable moments, it's magic. And somehow, even after a dozen rewatches and knowing every episode inside out, I still discover new details, a subtle reaction, a cool edit call, a background character doing something hilarious. It's like a little, whoa, that was a cool moment that I enjoy by myself. Also, watching the bloopers and 20 things you missed in HIMYM videos is still one of my favorite things to do. So to everyone who worked on the show, thank you for the laughs, the heartbreaks, the ridiculous inside jokes, and the life lessons I never saw coming. You had no idea you were shaping a kid in India one episode at a time, but you did. With all my heart, Hardik Sadhwani.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful. Wow.
Beautiful.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that story. And boy, is your English good now.
See what good teachers
That's
you were.
incredibly well written. That's so good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, two things that came up. One is, I'd mentioned this before, but like the world of Stage 22 on the Fox lot all those years was so insulated, and it felt, it was a huge stage, but it felt very small. It felt like this little village, this little bustling village with all sorts of, craftspeople and crew members and writers and actors and just everyone milling about making this show. And it felt so small, and you forget it was being beamed all over the world.
Yeah.
All over the world. 2011, it was still on, when he got a hold of it, but it was affecting people's lexicons. It was affecting people, changing people's senses of humor. And I've also heard from so many people who say, How I Met Your Mother, that's how I learned English.
I've heard it too. I've heard it over and over again, and it floors me equally every time. It hasn't, that the amazement has not diminished every time I hear that. It's what an honor. Yeah. And it's also, it's like, we weren't writing this thinking people would be learning English from it. It's just like it's so not a consequence we imagined would come of this, because you just can't, too many ripples.
It's probably, they say that if the true test of whether you really understand a different language, if you can watch a comedy in that language
and get the jokes
and laugh and get the jokes, because so much of humor is misdirection or irony. Like it's if you just have a rudimentary understanding of the language, you're not going to get a lot of humor that's popular in the culture. Yeah. So if you can really understand it comedically, that's why I think it is a really good teacher, because it's like, this would be something for AI, but like, I bet How I Met Your Mother had a larger vocabulary than a lot of other shows on at the time, like sitcoms. Like, not every show is making ineffable, like a hilarious plot point. It had a lot of polysyllabic words. Marshall, using legal terms and stuff. So I think I really love what he was saying in this whole thing, but I continue to be delighted. I have a friend, Nima, who grew up in Tehran until he was 15 and then moved to Canada. And he didn't tell me until I actually met him the same weekend I met my wife, but he is now a very dear friend, and he didn't reveal to me until years into our friendship that he learned English from How I Met Your Mother and Scrubs.
My God.
Scrubs and How I Met Your Mother were the two shows that he just knew backwards and forwards and kind of taught him about America and all this stuff. So,
oh my God, what an honor! I mean, what an honor that it could be part of someone's journey in learning English, and that it continues to mean something. Hardik, thank you so much. That was an amazing letter. Thanks for letting us be part of your story. Honestly, it means a lot.
I am guilty. Please acquit me. All sins are forgiven in New York City.
How We Made Your Mother is hosted and executive produced by Josh Radnor and Craig Thomas. The show was produced by me, Alec Lev, and our co-producer is Doug Matica. Our audio producer and mixer is Alex Reeves at Point of Blue Studios, and our digital content producer, aka Gen Z Master, is Emily Blumberg. Artwork by John Morrow. Please follow, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or your podcast player of choice. It really does help the show. Our theme song is NYC by our own Josh Radnor, with additional music by Craig Thomas and Andrew Majewski. Special thanks to Lola Kennedy and Elliot Connors. Visit howwemadeyourmother.com to sign up for our Substack mailing list and for links to our social media. You can also click on the contact page to send us an email or a voice message. Your stories and questions are an important part of the show. Want some merch? Click on the store link or go to howyougetyourmerch.com. Subscribe to Josh Radnor's newsletters on Substack. Order Craig Thomas's debut novel at craigthomaswriter.com/novel. And you could subscribe to my Dead Fathers Society, also on Substack. To learn about how you make a difference,